Hi guys, welcome back, and this time around I'm going to bring you three products in this review. The first product is something which I've had already for a while and I've been enjoying and using with my IMs, and I thought why not take the opportunity of reviewing the Tanchjim for you, and actually also then talking a little bit about the Shanling H2, which is their latest portable DAC amp. So I'll be talking to you about the Shanling H2. I'll be talking to you about obviously the Tanchjim for you, the latest single ED from Tanchjim, and I'll also be talking, well, just mentioning briefly this USB to USB-C to USB-C cable from DDHIFI, which I've also been using not only with my Shanling but also with my Q15 and with a couple of other dongles that I have. Anyway, let's get things going here. I'll talk about the cable. The cable is available in two sizes, 8 centimeters and 50 centimeters. I've got the 50 centimeter one, and I just like it very much in the sense that the plug goes into whatever I'm using with it perfectly and stays nice and snug. Not like some cables which eventually with a little bit of disconnecting, connecting, start loosening up or anything. So no issues there. I had a very nice cable actually that I was using, custom cable that I was using with my Q15s before and with my dongles, and I still use with my dongles. But that cable, by constantly taking it out and putting it on and taking it out, it started loosening up a little bit. So I'm assuming that the issue there has been the plug is maybe not of the best quality. And with regards to the TC05, I've been using it now for a while. I've plugged it and unplugged it multiple times, and no issues. It maintains itself, perfect. So this is a cable that I actually got this one from Hi-Fi Go. It costs around $20 odd, $25 if I'm not mistaken. So it's a cable I recommend if you like using your USB to USB-C connections. This is a cable that I definitely would recommend you guys maybe trying it out. Okay, so that's that out of the way. Now on to the Shanling H2. The Shanling H2, this particular unit, I got it also from Hi-Fi Go, and priced at $169, which makes it fall right within the price range of quite a few dongles, the Yuki, the Colorfly, the M2, the TP50 as well, also costs more or less around that value from EPZ. So there's a number of dongles which cost this amount. Obviously the dongles are going to be a little bit smaller. I mean, you've got they are full, and you got there the Colorfly substantially smaller. I mean, this is basically the same size as the NX7, give or take, just a little bit smaller. But the reality is, I didn't find it to be cumbersome in its usage. I use it not only sometimes portably, but I also use it as like a desktop setup. And I have to say that I was very impressed. I truly was very impressed. It's got, as you can see, the connections here at the back, separate USB cables for the DAC, for the signal and for the charging. It's got a micro SD card. It supports a micro USB card that you can introduce into it, and then 3.5 and 4.4. It uses, it has a 2100 milliampere battery, which gives it roughly, this thing is not, there you go, which gives it roughly between 10 and 12 hours of usage, depending if you're using it on balanced or non-balanced output. The charging time for the H2 is about 2.5 hours. I mean, it could be a little bit quicker if it had used a better protocol for charging, but it's fine. I've got no issues there. I mean, I really can't complain. And then the other nice thing that it has is the fact that it's got this little small, let me see if I can put it on here so you guys can see. It's got this little small, this is really giving me grief today to there you go, to display what's going on. There we go. All right, and then it's got the two control switches, two knobs, volume for the tracks. This one if you start clicking it, you toggle between the USB connection, the Bluetooth connection, and then obviously using the SD card as the source for the music. I've used it mainly in the USB connection, to be honest with you, and it uses the 43198 in conjunction with the SGM 8262 op amps. And what that basically translates to in terms of power is that it's capable of driving anything up to 600 ohms very easily, no issues whatsoever. I had more than enough power to power any of the IEMs that I have, planar, non-planar, even one or two headphones which I just momentarily connected up because I'm not really a big headphone user. It had more than enough power, and it's got all of that. It's got that typical Cirrus Logic CS43198 sound. So you can think of this as a TP50. You can think of this as a Yuki. You can think of this as a full snowy night in terms of its sound signature, which means what? It means it's got that nice balance between being old school and having a nice, warm, engaging tonality, and having a nice amount of detail still. So it hasn't got that highly detailed, or maybe not the best way to put it, that overly detailed presentation that sometimes you get with some ESS implementations. It isn't also as overly dark as some of the AKMs that sometimes are used, especially the 4493s, which then and as well in the 4493 you have the two variants. You have some implementations which actually make it sound overly bright, and then the majority of them make it sound overly dark, which is the case of the Acme, for example. The Acme dongles are a little bit darker in their presentation. By contrast, the M1P from Colorfly, which uses the 4493, is more organic in its sound. But the 43198 or 43131 are my favorite in terms of DAC chips. I don't know. I just enjoy the sound. That's as simple as that. There's no point in me trying to find big justifications for it. I just enjoy it, and that's that. So plenty of power, as I said. We got anywhere between in its high gain output in the 3.5 millimeter, you get about 180 milliwatts. If it's in low gain, you get about 90 milliwatts, and then if you're using it in the balanced output, you get anywhere between 340 in the low gain and 680 in the high gain. So plenty of power, as I was saying, and it's just a very nice unit to use. It's as simple as that. Fair enough, it's not the same as my Q15, but then again, it's also less than half the price. But I have to say that I was impressed. And if I have to put aside the issue of the size and recommend something using the Cirrus Logic chips, which I think will satisfy many people, and will be a little bit more solid than just the usual dongles. Obviously, the fact that this has got its own battery does dictate the reason why it's also got the size that it's got, so it's not going to be draining your phone. This is definitely a unit that makes all the sense, in my opinion. I mean, I love the dongles. You guys know that I've got my Frankensteins, and I love using my Frankensteins. My NX7 has been a long-time favorite of mine, and I can connect up whatever dongles I want to it, and it's quite it's quite entertaining. Plenty power. No noise, no nothing, but I get basically the same thing in a more simpler package, which I can carry outside more easily, which this becomes a little bit more cumbersome to do. And the H2 is that. It's the H2 is basically my Frankenstein in a portable in a portable format. Okay. And that's basically what I have to say about the H2. It's a very solid unit. The price, I think, is extremely balanced for what's on offer. I mean, this costs, like I said, dongle money. The full is about $109 right now. The Yuki is about $150. The cauliflower is about the same thing. So I mean, this is a little bit more than some of the more expensive dongles. Well, some of the more expensive dongles. If we're talking about if we go for the Cayenne RE7, or if we go for the M15, we're talking even more money. And the reality is those dongles don't offer more performance than this. In my opinion, they really don't. However much I like the RE7, however much I like the M15 Kunku style, and I think that they are both excellent dongles in their own right. This for me is just that little extra more versatile, that little extra more competent overall. Okay, let me put this off. There we go. All right, so that's the H2 out of the way. Let's now continue here with the Tanchjim, the 4U, which I think is going to be the main interest for this review. Anyway, okay, let's talk now about the Tanchjim 4U in a little bit more detail. This is the box of the 4U, the usual affair with Tanchjim. Very classy, very understated, nothing, overboard. It in the back there's some information about the graph of the driver of the earphone, which is actually basically corresponding to what I myself measured. The 4U has got a particularity, which is instead of using the tuning nozzles, it's got a tuning switch, which I'll show it to you in a second, which does adjust the sound profile, especially there in the bass. If you look carefully, you'll see the bass curves are changing ever so slightly. He also mentions there that it's got the new DMT4 driver, which is a combination of a PU and LCP, and that's basically it. I mean, they mention 122 decibels of sensitivity and 32 ohms of impedance, but I did find that the 4U actually took a little bit more power than what you would expect. This unit, as you can see, I got it from Hi-Fi Go. It retails for $69. So for the price which it's being sold for, and then considering, its build quality, what it offers in terms of accessories and the sound, it's quite competitive. I have to say it's quite competitive, and I'm actually happy that once again it seems like Tanchjim has gotten the formula right. I mean, they started getting things right with the Zero to a certain extent. They improved upon that significantly when they launched the One, both the normal version and the DSP version. With the Origin, they for me it was a home run, an amazing IEM, honestly, and a very solid successor to the Oxygen. And now with the 4U, they're trying to hit this sub $100 price bracket, where we have, a few IEMs in that price bracket, which are very solid. Anyway, the box, simple. Remove the sleeve, open it up. Inside, the IEMs greet you over there. You take that out. There's a little case here, which a little pouch, which has the carrying case, carrying pouch, I guess. Simple. I would have liked a nice solid case, but nothing, it's not a deal breaker. It's got a nice enough cable. I'm not going to complain about the cable, but I wanted something balanced. That's why I went for that XI and HS cable that I've got there connected. Okay, let me put just this all over here and get it out of the way here. So that's that out of the way. The tips as well supplied are fine. It's got some wide bores and some narrow bores. I'm using the narrow bores in the large size. It works fine. I tried other tips, but it was no need. And this is the tuning, the little screwdriver which they provide to do the adjustments for the switch that then changes the bass profile. Okay. As for the IEM itself. Very nice IEM, as you can see, very nicely built, solid metal shell. There's that tuning adjustment that you see there. It's now in the 0 0 in the basic position, which is the one that gives the most bass. And then basically what happens as you carry on switching it, it starts lowering the bass by making it have a roll off. And in the most rolled off position, it kind of gives us vibes of the Ola, the original Ola. Not the Ola bass, the original Ola, which was very rolled off in the bass, let's put it that way. Anyway, the actual shell itself, a little bit of a fingerprint magnet there on the faceplate, but the shape kind of reminds me of a a Moondrop shoe. It kind of reminds me maybe even of I don't know, a Revo Next, which was a brand that had some IMs a couple of years ago, which were very similar to this shape. Also has a kind of that vibe of the blonde, the BL05S. So it's a nice shell. It fits nicely. I didn't have any issues. The cable worked beautifully as well with it. Solid build. It's got a nice weight to it. It just looks the part. I mean, like I said, for $69, I think they were able to ask the right amount of money without being out of context. Okay. Anyway, let me just lower here the resolution a little bit so we can see a little bit everything slightly better. All right, so what did I select here to compare the 4U to? Moondrop Aria2, I think it made sense. Kefine Delci, again, made sense. Whizzer HE10, another IM that is totally underrated in this price bracket. The EA500LM, and then the EPZ, the Q5. So all of these IMs kind of priced it around the value here of the 4U. Just a quick reminder: the Aria2 is about $80 to $85. The Kefine is about $59. The HE10 is roughly around the $65 to $70. This is about $80 to $85. This is $69. This is about $50, $55. So they all are within the same sort of ballpark price-wise. Sound-wise as well, there are a lot of similarities. Okay. The reason why I've divided them into this in this manner is the following. And take this with a little bit of with a grain of salt, in the sense that what I'm about to say is going to be a little bit subjective, and it's going to be depending on you. Out of all of these IMs, the one here that probably sounds the brightest is the Q5, and the one that comparatively then might sound a little bit the darkest is the Aria2. Okay, and then the rest sit all in between that. The Kefine has got a sound which is a little bit on the darker side with a great sub-bass extension, but it has got a little bit more detail than that, than the Moondrop, and it's got significantly more bass than the Moondrop. Overall, it's just got this very nice, agreeable, easy to like tonality, the Delci, and that's why the Delci has become so popular, coupled to a fantastic build quality and a price which again is, it doesn't have any of the party tricks of adjustable tuning or anything, but what is there has been very well done. The Moondrop, I'm not going to say it's an improvement or not an improvement over the original Aria. It is an improvement over the original Aria if you found the original Aria maybe a little bit bright. I never found it that way, so I can't really consider it an improvement. But there are some people that found this an improvement over the original Aria in that aspect. This is actually the second Aria2 that I have. The first one died after about a month, and which was, to be quite honest, the first time I've ever had a Moondrop fail on me. Well, it seems that I've now also been plagued by the Moondrop problems, and I just can't understand, because it got very little use. I mean, that unit of the Aria2, if it had maybe 35 hours of usage, was the maximum. Okay, I used it initially when I was going to review it. I used it for the review. I used it afterwards, post the review, did some more comparisons with it, and then it was basically packed away. And it was packed away for, I don't know, I hadn't listened to it for easily 2 months. And then when I took it out to make this comparison, the one side was just dead. So a little bit frustrating, to be honest. The HE10 is an IM that came out more or less around the same time as the original EA500 from Simgot, and it was basically an E500 but with more bass. Very, very nice tonality as well, very agreeable tuning. It just kind of went forgotten, which is a pity, because it really did deserve, or does deserve, more attention. It is a good IM. It is an IM which is very capable, and it's a pity. Q5. It got, we already know it got a whole bunch of grief over it because of the fact that it was having this meze audio kind of vibe going for it. But that aside, the truth is this: it sounds very, very good. Yes, some people did consider it a little bit too bright. I never really thought it was a little bit too bright. Yes, it is brighter than the rest here, but it's not offensive, at least to me. It's got a very nice, clean sound. It's got very much. I'm not going to say the EA500 type of sound, because you notice that the EA500 has got a more polished, not more, I wouldn't say mature, but a more polished sound, especially in the past 3-4K area. It's done in a better manner here than what it is there on the Q5. But the reality is the Q5 is a nice IM to listen to. It's well priced, it's well built. There's really nothing offensive about it. And going back now to the 500LM, the 500LM, it's got those tuning nozzles which you can adjust. I'm using the silver nozzle on this one. I've got a second unit which actually has a gold nozzle, and basically the difference between one and the other is where the pin gain happens, a little bit earlier or a little bit later. This one, the peak of the pin gain occurs just a little bit later, closer to 3K, and I just like the way it sounds. That's it. It just sounds fine. Although the other version with the gold nozzle also sounds fine, but with the silver nozzle, which is what I have on this one, it sounds perfect. I like it. No issues. Tanchjim for you. I ran through all of the switches to see how it sounded. The difference between the first and the bass, the bass setting, the zero setting of most bass, and the next setting of that, it is a little bit noticeable, but it was fine. So I guess you could choose between one of those two. Will be the ones that will make the most sense, in my opinion. Even if you're not a bass lover, I think the position one after the zero position will be the one that will make sense. After that, I find that the bass is so it's so mellowed down that it just makes the IM become overly thin and not realistic, or not 100% faithful to how its tonality and timbre should be, at least for my liking. Okay. So I basically left it in the stock position, which was with the most bass. And in that stock position with the most bass, I think the 4U is an absolute beast of an IM. It plays really, really, really well. I mean, you guys that follow me know that I like the Delci a lot. I think the Delci is an absolute beast of an IM, and the same thing goes for the 500LM. These two are my favorite. The rest, the other three, are very competent as well. But these two, if I had to choose between these two, I'd be hard pressed, because I like both of them. Ultimately, I think the Delci just edges out slightly the 500LM, because it's got a nicer timbre and a nicer tonality. It's got this very nice, warm, organic sound to it, which is it's just very agreeable. It's very likable. It's a very easy sound to like. And this in this setting that I have, the Tanchjim, in the setting that I have, basically gives me vibes of the Origin. It gives me vibes of a baby Origin, and by that it means that I absolutely love it. I think in this bracket of IEMs, honestly, and there's a few others that I could have included, but in this bracket of IEMs, without a question, and I'll say this right off the bat, the three IMs which I think are the ones that stand out are the Tanchjim for you, the 500LM, and the Kefine Delci. This is the most expensive. That's the cheapest. This is the middle ground. This one and this one offer the ability to be this one and this one offer the ability to be slightly tuned or slightly adjusted. The tuning, that one there you're stuck with the tuning as it is. But then again, it does have the price going for it, which is its attraction is the price. All of them are very well accessorized. They all bring nice cables. They all bring nice tips. They all bring a carrying case, except for this one. So it's like I've said countless times. It's going to come down to which of them fits you the nicest, because they all have metal shells. which of them maybe agrees the most with your tuning style. Obviously, being adjustable in the tuning, these two have that advantage over the Delci. But if from the get-go you know that you're not going to be playing around too much with the tuning nozzles or with the tuning switch, and you're just going to be stuck with one thing, then the Delci does have a solid argument going for in its favor. And sonically, then the difference as well is not. It's not a tremendous difference. I would say that one there is the more bassy and the more warmer sounding one. This one is probably the most brighter sounding one, depending on what nozzle you use. In this particular nozzle that I'm using now, it actually sounds very similar to the 4U, and the 4U is like the compromise. Look, guys, this is the truth. You cannot go wrong with any one of the three. Okay, you just can't. And I'll repeat it. The choice here will be a choice down of what it costs in your area and where you live, what's the price that you can get it for, and what is your preference in terms of sound. You want you like a more organic, old school tonality and timbre and a very easy, smooth, laid back sound. Kefine. You want a more forward sounding, a little bit more engagement, a little bit more high energy in the upper mids and the mids. The LM. You want a nice compromise between the two of them, the 4U. Okay, keeping in mind that the 4U, as you adjust the switch, it starts becoming more and more of a high energy set by virtue of it losing its bass energy. And I just feel that the two switches here that only make sense are either the stock one with the bass being the most boosted, or then the first setting, which the bass is just boosted ever so slightly. Is just cut ever so slightly. My apologies. So bass, it's nice, it's clean, it's dynamic, it's got good clarity, good resolution. It's not a bass monster. No way. I mean, you can easily give that prize to the Delci. The Delci has got more sub bass. It rumbles. You feel it. Mids in any one of the three are fantastic. The mids here are amazing, clean, detailed. Male, female vocals come across beautifully. Macro and micro details as well, beautiful. I mean, plenty of detailed retrieval. Soundstage, big. It's got that nice atmospheric feeling, much like the LM. In that aspect, I would say that the Delci is probably the one that's got the smallest, the most cozy soundstage. Imaging is perfect as well. Nothing wrong with the imaging there. And then in terms of its resolution as well, perfect. So technically, it's competent. It does what it's supposed to do well. In terms of its musicality, of it being fun IM to listen to, again, very versatile. It runs through most of the genres that I like listening to perfectly. I had no issues. I mean, anything from let's see, from Ocean Breeze by Tim Bowman to Thanks to You by Bob Skaggs was fine. Or if I then went the opposite way and went for something like Piano in the Dark for Brenda Russell or Keep Pushing by Les Sabre, it was very competent as well. If on the other hand I wanted something a little bit more, let's say EDM or electronic music, Serenity by Dim Figure or Love Again by Edgy Lock, Indie by Sechi, A Different Way by Othir, Only One by Caspian. It does it all. It does it all. It is a very nicely tuned IM, very capably tuned IM, and like I said earlier, if there are IMs, obviously there are a few more that I could have included in this price bracket, but if there are three IMs that definitely stand out in this sub $100 price bracket as a very solid IMs that tick all the right boxes and that the differences between them are very minor, it's definitely these three: the 500LM, the Tanchjim for you, and the Kefine Delci. All right, guys, I'll show you now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, welcome now to the graph section here for the Tanchjim for you. Let me just clear all of these graphs here so that we can get things started here. Okay, so this is the for you using the whiteboard tip, stock whiteboard tip in the position of the switch which you have the most bass. Still the most bass. We are talking about a bass boost of about 8.5 dBs either way. So you could consider this a kind of a V-shaped signature, I guess. Peaks at about 3K, just over 3K, and then slowly drops off. This is very much a coupler related peak here. Good extension past 10K. It's got very much that ability to give a nice, nice sound stage, nice air, nice space, without ever sounding like it's forced or fake or anything of the sort. I heard some people mentioning that they found it a little bit. They found the 4U a little bit lean or a little bit bright. I didn't find it lean or bright in this setup. Neither did I find it lean or bright in the first switch, which just has kind of a bass, sub-bass roll-off. The difference between these two, honestly, is very, very, very minor. Now, once you start getting into the switch position number 3 or switch position number 4, then yes, then that bass roll off is significant, and then you start noticing that this whole area here does become overemphasized. I personally did not like it in these settings, and when I mentioned earlier, if you guys recall, it kind of reminded me of the Ola. That orange line that I just placed there is the Tanchjim Ola, and the Tanchjim Ola kind of is the 4U in the first position after the stock one. Okay, so in position 2, let's put it that way. It doesn't sound as bright because it also is not as energetic up top. But the Ola was actually a nice sounding IM, just a little bit leaner on the bass than would be ideal. Let's put it that way. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. Now, I listened to the Ola, however, to the 4U, however, in the setup or with the tip which has the more narrow bore, and the more narrow bore tip, which is what I just put up now. And let me just realign these two. Okay, you basically see that the difference that occurs between them is just how this area here of 6 to 8 and then past 10K is handled. I found that with the narrow bore tip, I actually was able to get a bigger sensation of space than what I was getting with the wide bore. Although, graphically, that's not what it seems like. Graphically, yes, you do get the wide bore giving you let me just change the color so that you guys can see. Make the wide bore in red. Okay. The wide bore would graphically be an indicator of having a bigger sound stage, but for some reason which I just honestly cannot explain, I got that sensation actually more with the narrow bore tip than necessarily with the wide bore tip. I assume that maybe the reason why I got that is because the peak that I get in the response is a peak which is about 14-15K, which is something that I can still hear, while the peak that occurs with the wider bore tip is already outside of my hearing range and I cannot hear it any longer. So maybe those of you that still have a better hearing capability than mine, you will obviously not agree with me, and you will see that, or you will hear that the wide bore does give it that sensation of more air and more space. But anyway, the important part here is that I listened to the 4U in this setup, and in this setup, there's really very little that you can fault. It is very, very nicely tuned. It's just got a very agreeable tuning. Okay, this first IM that I'm showing you is the Delci, and you can see that there's a lot of similarities here between the Delci and the 4U. The differences obviously are the Delci's got a little bit more bass, and the Delci doesn't have that same extension past 10K. But it's this more bass here that confers the Delci that little extra more warmth, that little extra more organic presentation, and that smoothness in the sound, which is also present in the 4U, mind you, but it just sounds more unfatiguing, more smoother, more. I know, but my choice of words here is not exactly the ideal, because both of them are very, very good, and both of them sound amazing. The difference here is one will be warmer and one will be a little bit more detailed and spacious. Let's put it that way. Okay, so that's the Delci. The next one I'm going to show you now is the Q5. And again, although it seems like they are very similar, the reality is when you listen to the Q5 from EPZ, the Q5 sounds, it sounds brighter. It sounds more alive than what the 4U sounds. It's not a huge difference, but you will notice it. You notice that the cymbals just have a little bit more extra energy. Guitar, the end parts of guitars sound a little bit more energetic as well. It's just as it is. I mean, the differences again are not monumental, but they are enough for you to pick up. Look, it is what it is. Next one is the Whizzer, which I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's an IM that really went very much forgotten. The Whizzer, again, very similar in its overall response to the 4U, as you can see, very, very similar. And it actually ends up sounding just ever so slightly warmer than the 4U, because it's got a little extra bass energy there, which is enough to make this section here of the upper mids and treble, which is a little bit more energetic than the 4U, sound as relaxed as it does. And it's again, look, the Whizzer, the Moondrop, which let me just actually show you here so you guys can understand. The Moondrop, the Whizzer, and the Kefine, these three are the warmer sounding IMs. Okay, the Moondrop is definitely the one that comes across the warmest of the three, and which is interesting to a certain extent, because it also doesn't have the same bass as compared to the Delci and as compared to the Whizzer, but it's the one that sounds the warmest of the three. While on the opposite end of the scale, the 4U, the Q5, and the LM, which is this one here, are the ones that sound the brightest. The graphs, as is many times the case, are not always entirely being 100% truthful. Yes, you do notice that the 500LM is the brightest, is brighter compared to the 4U, but the EPZ, the Q5, sounds even brighter than the 500LM, which graphically, at least, yeah, you wouldn't think that. And as well, bass wise, it does seem to have just a little bit extra bass, just a little bit more detail, a few dBs of bass, although it's right at the end there, so it's not really noticeable. The reality is these three are the brightest sounding ones, the other three are the warmer sounding ones. Okay, as I also mentioned, the three that come across as being the most similar in overall their sound, although there is that little difference there of the brightest, and is the Delci, the 4U, the Delci, and the 500LM. So these three actually are the three IMs that, considering the various aspects of the brightness and how it matches, how the balance is struck between the bass, the mids and the upper mids and the highs, everything, these three are the three that come across the most similar, with a very, very close then second, I would say, the Whizzer coming very close to that then, and then the two that you very much can easily identify between the six of them are the EPZ and the Moondrop. The EPZ and the Moondrop are quite easy to pick out of this whole bunch. Very easy to pick out. Okay, of the remaining four, I would say that it's between the HE10, which is this one here, and the Delci, they are probably the two easiest ones to pick out as well after the initial bunch, especially if the song is a little bit more bass heavy. You will notice it. The Delci's got a little extra bass energy, which lets you identify it quite easily. And then the two that are the closest overall is the 500LM and the 4U. The 500LM, again, let me just remind you, it's using the silver nozzle, and well, this is my unit, so that's how it graphed. And as you can see, it's basically the 4U just with an extra 2, maybe 3 dBs here or there in this area between 2.5 and 8K. All right. Anyway, guys, I hope I was able to position the Tanchjim for you properly for you guys and help clarify any doubts. As I said already before, and I'll repeat it again, out of these IEMs at this price bracket of under $100, the 500LM was one of the obvious choices in my opinion. If you wanted a little bit of a brighter type of sound, the Delci was then the other obvious choice, because it was very well tuned and it gave a very easy, agreeable, organic sound. And now the Tanchjim for you kind of joins this trio of the more sensible, or the most the IEMs that make the most sense to buy at this price point. All right, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me. You take care now. Bye bye.